We could do as much as 150 grand a year.
Okay, and how much do you make on that after all your costs?
About 100,000.
Whoa, that's pretty darn good. What did you do in top line in 2020?
40.
You're a perfect business to have applied for the PPP loans, okay? Did you do that?
Yes.
So that 40,000 you cited me, Derek, for 2020 revenue, does that include a PPP loan in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the actual sales, forget about the government free money?
10 grand.
10,000, from 150,000 to 10,000. Now, America can see the effect of what COVID did to businesses like yours.
Everyone, please welcome Kevin O'Leary joining us this morning, a.k.a. Mr. Wonderful. Hello, how are you?
Great to be here, Noah. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here at iHollywood TV. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, I do want to ask you, share with our audience how some of these businesses are really struggling to survive throughout the pandemic. Like, how can we get them back on the right track as so many businesses are ending up short-staffed nowadays?
Well, the pandemic over the last 18 months has completely changed the American business model. And, 65% of our jobs in America are created by small business. The kind of cases we're seeing on Money Court are the companies that had to go through these trials and tribulations. And obviously, because of the pandemic, there are thousands of cases that can't get to court now. The backlog is a logjam. And so they've chosen arbitration, and I'm going to settle their case for them because it's good for business. But there's been a remarkable change. The economy has moved to a digital platform, direct to consumer. And you see that throughout the cases on Money Court. All of these companies have embraced technology. And as a result of it, sometimes it's caused friction from the old business model, and it ends up in litigation.
Yes. Well, I want to discuss Money Court because it is your new show on CNBC. How did this new show of yours come about, Kevin?
Well, I've been an investor for decades, and I have in my portfolio almost 35 companies that are private. And, in every one day, and I must say this, most of the businesses in America that drive all the jobs are small businesses, as I said. And because they're family businesses, sometimes there's tremendous tension between running the business, taking care of customers, hiring employees, and then the owners are family members, brothers and sisters, uncles, and, relatives. And they have other kinds of issues, not just the fact that they're running a business. Because they're family members, there's a lot of ego and a lot of jealousy, and guess what? It ends up in litigation.
Yeah.
And that's what Money Court's all about, trying to settle those cases.
Yeah, well, it definitely is an interesting show to watch. You really learn from this series. Now, taping Money Court, what has been some of the most unbelievable money disputes you've heard so far in the overall first season?
I think everybody's going to see themselves in these cases. They're going to recognize a family member, a family business, something that happened to them in the past, and they're going to see it go through the trials and tribulations of being discussed with Ada Pozo, a federal judge, Katie Phang, a real trial attorney who really understand the law. But at the end of the day, they came to the Money Court to get a resolution, to get a settlement, to get arbitration, and ultimately it's my decision. But the cases are extraordinary. Tonight, for example, tonight's show, everybody thinks that you go in litigation when a business fails and you go to trial. You're going to see a case tonight that is so successful. They make so much money. They've been so successful in growing this business, and it's so profitable that they ended up suing each other. I mean,
what?
How crazy is that? You can't make this stuff up. When you watch it on Money Court, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. When they came into the court and I heard the case, I said, you guys are nuts. You are making more money on a percentage pre-tax than I've ever seen before, and you're suing each other? And we had to decide that case. You will see it tonight. I think it's extraordinary. I think it's such compelling television because you never know what the next case is going to bring you.
Well, Kevin, would you say that you're the Judge Judy of money disputes? Like, how would you describe your technique and approach to these cases?
Well, I love Judge Judy, and she is the, you must call her the grandmother of the court format, but my cases are not like hers. My cases are in most, situations, real financial litigation. It's not about a cat or a dog next door making noise at midnight, keeping you awake. These are companies and people that are ripping each other apart in court or threatening to because of money. And so money can tear a relationship to pieces, can split a family. In many of these cases, we even have one where a mother sued her own daughter. Now,
Wow.
you know, that's a crazy thing to see happen. It was gut-wrenching emotionally to watch. And I know, you know, when you make television like this, I've been doing this a long time, and a show like this is shot in a studio, in this case, Telemundo, NBC Universal, north of Miami, an incredible facility. Maybe 100 people on the set at any one time, the lighting staff, the cameramen, the sound people, the gaffers, caterers, makeup, all that stuff. And these people are professionals. They don't, you know, watch television, they make television, so they're jaundiced. They've done it all before. So I don't expect much from them other than to control the technology that makes the show, but that's not what happened on Money Court. In every room, there's a line feed monitor of what the truck is seeing from all the different cameras, and they're cutting it live. And just to get a raw edit, I looked over early on in the taping, and I saw 20 professionals from the cast and crew looking up at that line feed monitor, glued to it, totally engaged in what was happening right in the studio. And at the break, the makeup woman came over to me and said, I don't agree with anything you just did there. You did not give the daughter enough money in this case. And so I knew with certainty that she was totally engrossed in it, and I realized right then, we got a hit. I mean, when the people that are supposed to be making it are watching it, you got a hit.
So Kevin, from all the years of being on the ABC series Shark Tank, what has been like the most remarkable experience for you and the panel?
What I find about television, and I've been doing it, as I mentioned, quite a while.
Right.
I remember meeting Mark Burnett 14 years ago when he was casting for Shark Tank, and we met at Shutters in Santa Monica, and he said something to me that I've never forgotten. He said, look, I'm casting this show called Shark Tank. I'm watching your work on the Discovery Channel. I was in England shooting a show called Project Earth. I'm looking for a real asshole, and I think you're the guy. And I said, why would you say that? He said, you tell the truth, and not everybody can handle it, and I don't want you to change. I want you to just stay the same. And that all stems from what my mother taught me when I was 14. I never thought about it until years later, but she said to me, Kevin, you should always tell the truth. That way you'll never have to remember what you said. And of course, that has been my guiding, you know, mantra ever since. But, you know, the last thing you want to be on television is predictable. And I've always, you know, listened. I've been so fortunate to work with showrunners like Mark Burnett and this show, Eric Schatz and his team on Money Court. You got to tell the truth. You got to be transparent. People smell BS miles away, particularly on social media. And you can't go changing. You got to be yourself. And that's what I've tried to do on Shark Tank and right into Money Court. It's the same Kevin O'Leary that you've gotten to know on Shark Tank. I just tell the truth. In a court setting, though, it can be really gut-wrenching.
Now, Kevin, you've been in the workforce and, of course, entertainment for such a long time, as you were saying, helping others grow and expand their brands as you've had years of experience as a businessman. What truly is the icing on the cake for you when you get to see other businesses and entrepreneurs thrive from your help of services?
So what I've learned over the last, well, call it 3 years, and I think nobody can dispute this anymore, is that social media, and television have become such a part of the fabric of society that it actually influences market capitalization of stocks and bonds. People that have access to millions of followers, as I do, I'm very fortunate, can help a company tell its story and sell its products and services in a unique way. And as a result of that, I find myself, you know, in a really envious position that I would have never anticipated 20 years ago. I mean, I've been an investor a long time, but now when people come to me and say, look, Kevin, we'd like you to invest in our company, I don't do that just because I, you know, take advantage of being offered a lot of stuff. I buy into companies where I can really help change their trajectory, because I can help them sell their product or service or reduce their customer acquisition costs. And in the case of Money Court, I can actually settle their whole arbitration and in a way that helps. And I'm trying to solve for the business. You know, when you got Ada Pozo, the federal judge, and Katie Phang, the trial attorney, they know the law. They give me what the law says about the contract, about what the case docket says, and what the law would guide me to do. But I sometimes ignore that because I'm more interested in saving the business, the employees, the investors, and the customers, as opposed to just implementing the brute law on it, because maybe that doesn't save the business. And that's what's great about Money Court. There's a pragmatic view of it. And as some of the litigants have said, which I find so interesting, you know, every time I think about it, is I don't really like you, Mr. Wonderful, but I trust you to settle my case. I mean, I think I've done what my mother wanted. I told the truth, and the outcome has been good. I'd rather be trusted than win a popularity contest.
So as we're talking about Money Court and Shark Tank and just everything that you've been able to do in entertainment, just aside from all that, how did you get your name Mr. Wonderful? Because I think it's actually a great name for you.
Well, I think it was a facetious nomenclature, you know, a skeptic Barbara Cochran years and years ago, not liking my deal structures and royalties and everything else, says, well, aren't you just Mr. Wonderful? And I thought, yes, I am. I'm the only shark that tells the truth. You don't tell the truth, Barbara. I do. And you know, so we got into it, and I think it kind of grew. We've never been able to find that piece of tape, but I've been known as Mr. Wonderful for, you know, decades, and it's kind of remarkable because sometimes I'll show up and there'll be a sign for a hotel or a car service, and it says Mr. Wonderful on it, and I say to the driver, do you know my name? He says, yeah, you're Mr. Wonderful. I said, no, my real name. He says, no idea, but everybody knows you're Mr. Wonderful. So, I mean, it's come to a crazy place.
I wonder what my nickname should be, Kevin. I don't know. But I like Mr. Wonderful for you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I've enjoyed it, and I respect it. It's kind of an interesting place to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lastly, I want to ask you, Kevin, what would you like business owners to learn from this series of Money Court?
Well, we who have been making the show are learning from every case. I had one anticipation before I started taping it. We've already shot 6 shows, so multiple cases. I have learned so much from Ada and Katie, just about how the law works, but also the human condition. It's going to be very hard when you start watching it to stop. You will not believe some of these cases. They come from left field and they just tear your heart apart. It's really hard sometimes to see what money can do to a relationship in a business, in a family, between a tenant and a landlord. I mean, it just takes your breath away. Tonight's show, with this situation, with this business that's so successful and still they sued each other. How crazy is that?
That's great.
Well, you're going to see it on Shark Tank tonight. And when we get to Money Court, watch that case. It's going to be nuts.
Oh my gosh, you are phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here at iHollywood TV. Kevin O'Leary. Be sure to catch his new show, Money Court, airing Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CNBC. Kevin O'Leary, you are just fantastic. I appreciate the conversation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Take care, my friend.